Chapter 1. A house half empty. David sat quietly in the living room, the soft hum of the rain outside blending with the distant tick of the clock on the wall. The house felt different with Anna gone, her absence leaving a silent gap in every room. Elena stood in the kitchen, drying her hands on a towel. She had come to stay with David for a week while Anna was away on a business trip. Though she was his mother-in-law, the years had woven a complex thread between them, one neither dared to acknowledge. David watched Elena from across the room. She looked older than he remembered, her silver-streaked hair pulled back loosely, her eyes shadowed with quiet sadness. Yet there was a strength in her presence, a calm resilience that pulled him in. "Elena," he said softly, "do you want some tea? Or maybe something stronger? It's been a long day." She smiled, a small, almost sad curve of her lips. "Tea sounds good, thank you." He got up, the silence between them suddenly heavy. As he handed her the cup, their fingers brushed for a fleeting second. Neither pulled away immediately. The air seemed to crackle with a tension David didn't understand, and Elena's eyes lingered on his a moment longer than usual. The rain softened to a gentle drizzle outside, but inside the house, the quiet felt almost unbearable. David and Elena sat across from each other at the small kitchen table, the dim light casting long shadows on their faces. David noticed the faint tremor in Elena's hands as she held her cup. He wanted to ask what was wrong but hesitated. Their roles as family restrained his words. "It's strange," Elena finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "How life pulls us in directions we never expected." David nodded, unsure how to respond. "Sometimes the hardest moments reveal who we really are." Her eyes met his, searching, vulnerable. "Do you think people can find comfort in unexpected places?" He swallowed, his throat dry. "I think we find what we need, even if it's complicated." For a moment, they sat in silence, the words hanging between them heavier than the storm outside. Suddenly, Elena sighed and looked away. "I miss Anna," she admitted softly. "She's always been the heart of this family." David's chest tightened. "We all do." But beneath those words, something else stirred, an unspoken understanding, a connection neither dared to name. Days passed, but the house remained strangely quiet. Anna's absence stretched into the rhythm of every routine, every glance. David found himself increasingly aware of Elena's presence. Her quiet footsteps, the way she lingered near the window in the late afternoon light. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, David entered the living room to find Elena sitting alone with a photo album open on her lap. The pages showed pictures of a younger Anna, smiling, full of life, a stark contrast to the fragile woman Elena sometimes seemed now. David approached slowly, feeling like an intruder yet compelled to sit beside her. "Memories have a way of both comforting and haunting," Elena said softly without looking up. David nodded. "Sometimes I wish I could go back to those days. Before everything got so complicated." She finally met his gaze, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Complicated doesn't begin to cover it." The silence stretched between them, but it was no longer empty. It carried the weight of everything unsaid, the feelings that simmered beneath politeness and obligation. David felt a sudden impulse to reach out, to offer some comfort. But the walls of family loyalty and societal norms stood tall between them. Yet, as their hands hovered close but didn't touch, the unspoken tension grew louder than any words. That night, the house seemed to hold its breath. David found himself restless, unable to focus on the book in his hands. Elena had retired early, but the quiet felt too loud, filled with everything he tried to ignore. As he stood to get a glass of water, he noticed a faint light spilling from the study. Curious, he walked toward it. Elena was there, seated at the desk, staring at a letter. Her shoulders were tense, eyes distant. "Still awake?" he asked softly, not wanting to startle her. She looked up, surprised but grateful for the company. "It's an old letter. From Anna. She wrote it before she left." David stepped closer, feeling the air between them thicken. "May I?" She hesitated, then handed it over. Reading the words, David felt the love Anna held for both of them, for her mother, for him, and for the family they built. When he looked up, Elena was watching him intently. "David," she whispered, "sometimes I wonder, what if life had been different?" Her hand brushed against his as she reached for the letter again. The touch lingered, electric and forbidden. David's breath caught. The world outside the study faded. For a heartbeat, time stopped, the line between right and wrong blurred. Then Elena pulled her hand back, her eyes filled with regret. "I'm sorry," she said, voice trembling. "I didn't mean to." David shook his head, heart pounding. "No, Elena. It's not your fault." They sat in silence, the letter between them a fragile bridge connecting two souls on the edge of something dangerous. The following days were a whirlwind of uneasy calm. David kept replaying that moment in the study, Elena's touch, the flicker in her eyes. He tried to focus on work, on routines, but the memory clung to him like a shadow. Elena, too, seemed distracted. She avoided his gaze more often, retreating into herself but unable to escape the tension that simmered beneath the surface. One afternoon, as David prepared lunch, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. Opening the door, he found Anna standing there, suitcase in hand, home early. Her smile was warm but tired. "I thought I'd surprise you." David's heart raced. The reality of Anna's presence swept away the fragile bubble he and Elena had been living in. Later, as Elena helped Anna settle in, David caught a glimpse of a fleeting look, a mixture of guilt, fear, and longing, in Elena's eyes. That night, David lay awake, torn between loyalty and desire, love and temptation. The delicate balance of their lives was shifting, and none of them knew what the dawn would bring.